Hi Sagittarius, welcome to your week ahead taroscope with me, Raphael from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, these readings are for your sun, moon and ascendant sign, though if you are remember, there's no astrology in these, so if you're going to watch them for all three so that you understand which part of you my tarot readings resonate with the most and the strongest, right? Remember, they are general readings. Not everything's going to resonate with everybody, and that is just fine. You should always use your own discernment. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance, and I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise. They help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So for your key to the week, and before we get into that, if you are a continued subby, you know Rafi loves you, and if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and also don't forget to like and share, and obviously, get in the comments with me. So you have the Tower card this week for your key to the week. Now, yes, this can sort of say that there are going to be some minor catastrophes this week. It's very possible. But the first word that I heard when I turned this card over was breakthrough. And I actually think that in all of these different areas of your life that we're about to observe or to look at this week, you are likely to have some kind of breakthrough. There's going to be some kind of moment where you're like, wow, okay, I understand this from a much clearer perspective. I'm going to be honest, it is the Tower, so they might be sort of big realizations that come in potentially sort of very challenging ways. Too many, so I'm going to put them back in, in potentially some very challenging ways. And one of the things with the Tower card, I always say, when the dust settles and the rubble clears, whatever or whoever is left after that, you can absolutely trust, okay? So in terms of your actions and options, you've got the Moon card. Now, this is for a lot of you, you're potentially seeing the past or some aspect of your life from the past in a very different light. I actually feel like for a lot of you, this is going to be a piece of a puzzle where something makes sense. So it's kind of like on a mental, intuitive, instinctual level, all these pieces kind of come together in like this wonderful stained glass mosaic, and you're like, wow, now I can see that in a much sort of deeper sort of sense, and maybe even see much more of a fuller picture from it. Now, in terms of the options that are available to, so the other thing as well, with the actions that you're taking, these may be very much guided by the past at the moment. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's how we learn, right? But I do want to urge you to be really honest with yourself. Are you reacting or are you responding to whatever it is that's coming up? And then for your come on brain, and then for the options that are available to you, there's a chance here to tread back over something to get a deeper understanding of it. I actually feel like this is somebody giving you a second look at something, and I have to say, just because of the way these cards are combining, and my intuition is kind of saying, if there's something that you want to know this week, ask, because the chances are you will get more truth this week than maybe you have in a long time. I don't personally like the Moon card too much because it's quite nebulous, but with this Tower card here, it almost feels like maybe you'll get more truth than you bargained for. And I'm saying that to a Saggy, I'm fully aware. So, at your own behest, as the words might say. Now, the other thing, because the Moon card is whatever you are doing at nighttime, just consider that there might be other ideas or energies sort of not opposing you, but certainly running parallel or concurrent to what you're trying to achieve. Now, in your communications and conversations, you've got the Devil card. I gotta be honest, as we start to pull more cards, this is not an easy triplet. And it is one, especially in the communication sector with the Tower and the Devil card, there's a potential here for you to either misunderstand something or misconstrue something. And this may very well be because and we all have them. This is not a judgment by any stretch. But this might be a conscious, what's the word? A confirmation bias that you have, that is going to be highlighted to you through a conversation that you have with somebody. They might highlight something to you and you're like, shit, I didn't even realize that I had that thought process, that belief structure or system. Now, the moon card with the devil card is also where your it's where your it's where your instinctual patterns and habits potentially get the better of you. This will come up in conversation, and those conversations aren't meant to make you uncomfortable. They're meant to highlight where something needs to shift. Okay. Now, for those of you that are studying or in some form of academia, you could be so far into your studies on this week that you kind of just completely block the world out. And there might be some stuff happening around you with family members, with friends, maybe even just with other students that you don't even acknowledge. And there's a potential here for someone to say to you like, oh, you know, you're oblivious to what's happening around you. Sometimes it's the best way. For those of you that are employed by somebody else, this, for you and the business owners, this is potentially where the shit's going to hit the fan. And this is because you have one very clear way forward. It's not the only way, and it may not necessarily be the right way for anyone, including you. You're going to have to find a way to broaden your perspective here. For those of you that are business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people that work for themselves, it's almost like you're seeing behind the veil of some of your own personal bad business habits or practices. And if you can get out of your own way or out of your own head or out of your own ego enough, you might actually be able to make some switches or some changes here. I also want to say as well, if there is someone in your past that you are connected to, have collaborated with, worked for, worked on behalf, etc. previously, this might be a week where you have to really kind of say this out of all love. If you've been with me long enough, you know I've got so much love for my Saggies. But this is one of those weeks where I'm going to say to you guys, and I have this kind of level of brutal honesty with my actual friends, and I consider all of my subbies friends. This week, if you're a business owner, those business practices, and where maybe you have, like I said, there might be a person who maybe you don't agree with how they do the same thing that you do. Maybe you don't like the way that they do what they do or whatever. You got to get your head out your own arse this week and kind of say, okay, you know what, we work very differently, but we still both get results. There's a respect among peers here that needs to happen, and maybe you can't see that. Maybe it's a generational divide, maybe it's because you have very differing or opposing views. It's kind of like, and this is one thing that I see a lot on YouTube, like I choose not to tear other tarot readers down or astrologers or whatever. One, because I'm human, I don't always get it right. Two, because my way of doing things is not everybody else's, and sometimes you have to just kind of accept that. This does suggest as well, even for those of you that are retired and no longer working for any reason, you might just have to kind of say, it's like, I get good results for my clients. I have people that return time and time again. I don't even read reversals. There are many things that I don't do that a lot of tarot readers do. Does that mean that I'm wrong? Does it mean that they're wrong? No, of course not. It just means that we have very different ways of working. It doesn't make me any better. It doesn't make them any better. And this week, my dear Saggies, you've got to get out of your own way and just accept that people do things differently. For those of you that are, for your love and relations, you've got the Justice card. That's an old score to settle. And I would advise that you settle it, especially if this is within the familial ties or realm. For those of you that are single and looking, look, I mean, that's a lot of major card energy. So whether you want to or not, whether you like to or not, inadvertently, you are bumping into, at the very least, someone from your past. For those of you that are married, partnered, or in long-term commitments, this could very well be where this shows up for you. It might be that your significant other says, listen, you need to get out of your, you need to get out of your self or your feelings or whatever it is that you're in at the moment, because you seem to be ramroding over everybody and it's not cool. For your money and materials, you've got the Ace of Swords opposite the Justice card. That's a financial contract or a commitment of some sort that is coming up for review, and it needs to come up for review at this moment in time. For your physical health and vitality, just because of the other cards that are here, if there's some niggle, pain, ache issue that you've been ignoring for like the last month, it's going to come to a head this week, and I advise you to get it sorted and seen, especially if a partner has been in the background saying to you, you need to get this sorted, and you've just been like, yeah, I'll get to it. This might be the week where that shows up in a bit more severity. And then finally, for your home and environment, this could be new contracts around the home, maybe renewing contracts, doing new, new things with the home or around the home, potentially some kind of demolition, or where you're starting over with some element of the home. All right, so it's going to be an interesting week for you guys, I think. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of the good stuff. If you would like to get your personal reading with me, you can do so on the link in the description box below. And have a fantastic week. I'll see you soon.